Hey folks, welcome back to the Catholic Coaching Podcast. My name is Matt.
And I'm Erin.
And we are your Catholic coaches for the day, but we've got some more Catholic coaches with you here today. Let me give it a little bit of an introduction. We've got a special treat to you. We're bringing on the podcast Melanie and Damon Owens. They're the founders of Joyful Ever After, which is an incredible apostolic ministry to married couples in the church. They've got 8 kids as well, so lots of experience in the ups and downs of living their married life. They did a marriage summit last year that went viral, like tens of thousands of people registering for it back during the COVID days. They've got some great courses that are on their website, joyfuleverafter.com. And they recently just went through our certification program because they're making a pivot to just moving from just educating and kind of talking and speaking on marriage to really coming into more of an accompaniment relationship with people that want to transform their marriage. They want to not just be getting through it, but have a marriage that is thriving, that is joyful. So really excited to have them on here. They've been speaking on theology of the body topics here for years, as well as just topics of marriage and sexuality. Damon was, in fact, the first executive director of the Theology of the Body Institute, where Erin and I got a lot of our formation. Gosh, if you haven't gone there yet, check that out. An incredible place. But Damon also right now is serving as the growth officer for Communio. And I don't know, I'm saying it right, like Communio, I think it is. Communio. It's an incredible apostolic movement to renew marriage ministries at the parish level. And so Damon is on the road going out and just galvanizing this incredible movement that has incredible fruits that are coming forth from it. So both Damon and Melanie, just wonderful witnesses of a joy-filled marriage. Really excited to have them on the podcast here today.
Yes. Yeah. Very on brand, joy-filled marriage. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having us. We're excited to be here.
Absolutely.
Yay.
Yeah, this was a long time in the making. I remember being in Steubenville and taking your call. Gosh, it was almost like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when you guys were making the decision to be like, okay, is this what we're going to jump into? And just that being a very anointed conversation and being here and seeing the fruits that are coming forth from it. We're going to get into everything that you guys are doing since then. But I'd love to start with just getting a little bit of the background into you guys. If you could tell us, just tell us how you got into marriage ministry. What's the origin story for Joyful Ever After?
That's like looking in the rearview mirror and figuring out, how do we get here? Like, what was the pre-GPS, so Mel and I were married in 1993. We met in 1989 at UC Berkeley, of all places. And we met at a time where both of us had grown up Catholic, but had some undergrad college experiences that were far from the faith. So when we met, there was just a beautiful providence, and I wouldn't say we were out of the church, but we were kind of out of the church, and mostly from neglect, to be honest with you. So that's important to the story, because as we got together, we had tons of questions. We're supposed to be this next generation, super smart, elite school people, and we just were just floundering when it came to intimate relationships. So, we started out sexually active and then had a major conversion during our dating time before we were even married. So by the time we were married, we were just we were that couple that just wanted to know everything. We were asking anybody at any time, and had major encounter with the Lord that was different than being a kid growing up in a Catholic house. It was our faith. It was our time. And we watch our marriage video every year with the kids, and we were looking at it this year. We were just like, man, we were young. We just thought we figured out everything, right? The ministry was never it wasn't an affirmative decision. It was just that hunger. It was the desire to want to be around other couples, to get the heat, whether they were just getting started, whether they were older than us, to be mentors. We immediately went to marriage preparation teams. We went to natural family planning training. We were NFP teachers within the first year of being married. It's crazy, but we were just on fire. And I worked at AT&T Bell Labs at the time. I was an engineer. I say now I'm a recovering engineer. But those early years were like juggling weekends, first together as a young couple at marriage preps in New Jersey and New York. And then when the kids came later on, carrying them in tow with backpacks and going to 3 or 4 pre-canas a weekend, doing the sexuality talks, and just, it just exploded. And which allowed in about 10 years later, I sold my engineering firm and went full-time into marriage ministry. Or it wasn't even marriage ministry. It was speaking. It was this gift of teaching. And Melanie, through that time, was such a part of our own marriage, even in those years before going full time. And since then, we've worked with just about every Catholic publisher and marriage programs and Theology of the Body. And as you mentioned, came on as executive director of the Theology of the Body Institute for a number of years. And then lots of programs and workbooks. And we've just been around it. And it literally has been 30 years, which is crazy.
Yeah, we were so excited when we, got together, and I was so excited to be finally dating someone who was Catholic, who shared my faith that I didn't have to explain things to. And we were just, as Damon said, we were so excited about learning NFP and giving talks at the pre-Cana weekends, and it kind of grew. And I knew that the Lord was calling us to something special in marriage. And I didn't know exactly what it was, but we just kept doing the next right thing. And we knew that God was just calling us, okay, this weekend we're going to be here. This weekend we're going to be here. And as more kids started to come, we would just bring them with us because they were part of our family. They're part of our ministry too. And it was in 2020. Well, you were the director of Theology of the Body Institute, and then you stopped that for a couple of years. And then when 2020, when COVID hit, then that's when Joyful Ever After came. Do you want to say that? What happened?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great year for us too. I mean, this is when we really got to know each other. We knew each other, as you said, through the Theology of the Body Institute, and that was beautiful. We're all kind of learning together this fundamental teaching. But 2020 changed everything. That was when you're doing the virtual Catholic conferences, and we launched the Catholic Marriage Summit, and you guys were an integral part of that with your witness story about your marriage. And that was really where, in the months before COVID hit and the shut-in, Melanie and I really were looking back and thinking, like, all right, Lord, what's happening here? We've done all these things. Some of them feel connected and integrated. A lot of them don't. We've done some wild stuff. And we really wanted to pause because it felt like we were just going from one thing to the next, one thing to the next, one thing to the next. And I'm strategic in my thinking. I'm very, I'm a planner, I'm a plotter. We go through Clifton Strengths if you want to, but the reality was we wanted to pause and really discern the next thing. What is all this leading to? And we formed, with the help of some really gifted people, in a business plan, a structure, when we formed Joyful Ever After, to be more than just the next thing, much more. And in our little irony, we were like, okay, we're not going to do any events. We're not going to have any of these DVD workbook things. We've done a ton of these things. We're going to get couples together. We're going to build that public dimension of marriage and couple quads. And it's going to be less content. It's going to be more about fellowship and learning how to marriage. It was it is beautiful. It's still part of the ministry. But literally, we formed January 27th, 2020. So the shut-in happened, as you remember, just literally weeks later.
Yeah.
So that pivoted, and we didn't know what we were going to do. It was a time where the rope, we're walking on the tightrope, and the net gets taken away. So there was a lot of providence that happened there with the Marriage Summit. As you mentioned, we had 39,000 couples join us in June of 2020. Yeah, it was unbelievable. And that launched us as an event, ironically, to really think about how we can serve couples more sincerely, more authentically, more deeply. My world up until that point had been very much at the 10,000-foot view. I'm the guy you fly in. I'll do your conference. I'll do your parish mission, and then I fly out, and God bless you. And I did that for decades. And the call. This is going to be really important when we start talking about coaching. The call really was to land the plane and to start walking around the beach, start walking around the neighborhoods. And the Marriage Summit really was that first encounter with real couples in mass, and the stories that happened then. And then 2 years later, when we dropped the Epic Intimacy program, emotional, physical, intellectual, communicative intimacy, and that was more teaching based. That really drew us closer to real stories, real couples, what people are really dealing with in trying to live joyful marriage. And an event we can talk about shortly after that was an email, sort of campaign that we just started restarting. Okay, now that COVID's kind of got through, let's get back to the original business plan. It might have been 60,000 people on our list, but that's not who we're serving right now. We want to get back to this couple. So we did a 7 email sequence, and it was just sharing our story again. Why are we here? Why are we doing this? A pivotal year, 2013, when we really struggled in our marriage and weren't sure we're going to make it. That's just facts.
Yeah.
First time we ever had to encounter the reality that, we might not make it. And then what did we do? Who do we lean on? What were those things? So we shared that over 7 emails. Oh, I got to tell you, that rocked us, because there were no call to action. We weren't selling anything. It was come get to know us over 7 emails. And the responses we got to this day just rock us. We had over 600 of the most intimate, not like, hey, great. Oh my gosh, you talking my story. There was thousands of those. We had 600 testimonies.
People pouring their hearts out. Yeah.
Wow.
Looking for answers.
And long. And you read them and like, we're married 34 years. My husband's a deacon. I'm a lector. I've been in the church. We've been to this. We've gone to Retrovi. We have done. Nobody knows us. We haven't been in the same bed for 7 months, 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah.
And we're reading this, and because we've talked about this before, you get hit with the real core mission of what God's calling you, and you get that sense like, we are not the ones. We're like Moses, the burning bush, be like,
move out of the way.
Move out of the way.
Sorry.
Surely there's somebody else, Lord, that could. This was our moment, and it was genuine. And up until that point, we had some confidence that we had something to offer, that we were part of a movement, that it's not just about us. But when we got that testimony, we realized there's a whole world, a whole cohort, a whole reality of brokenness.
Yes.
And they're all
Catholics.
Yeah, faithful Catholics. I think that is such a huge piece to it, especially, and I also think it's very providential that the Lord was like, you're going to do this during COVID, because COVID brought up a lot of stuff in people, like
in their
a lot of marriages broke apart,
Yep.
Things kind of came to a head. So I just think that's like so God. He's like, nope, you're going to really rely on me, and we are going to because this stuff's coming up. But you brought something up, and I do think this is actually a great segue, because I'm wondering, what have you guys seen is like often like a leading
indicator of like the struggles,
strife and struggles in marriages today, and has it changed at all? Like, has there been an evolution of like, depending on the generation that you're working with? What do you guys see today?
Yeah, I think we're seeing there's men and women are different, and in marriage they're going to express that differently. And I think there's always been issues. There's always going to be issues, just because we are different and we express our needs, our desires, our longings differently. And there's so many times in our marriage, Damon, where I just thought he knew because I thought it, and I wanted him to just read my mind and know. And it was so obvious. Why couldn't he get it? But yes, people are having struggles, and they, from the beginning of time, there's struggles. And I think that what we're trying to be for people, what God is calling us to do, is to serve them in their struggles, and that you can be helped, and there's hope. You don't have to suffer in silence. We hear so many times, well, I'm Catholic and my marriage is just my cross. I'm just going to have to carry my cross, and I'm not going to ask for any help. This is just, silently carry the cross. And we're saying that, no, God wants you to have this joyful marriage. There's hope in your marriage. And that's who we want to serve. We want to serve whoever wants to discover that hope and that joy in their marriage.
Oh, so well. And I'm trying to keep this brief, because this is the stuff that I think about all day. I dream about. I'm in the shower.
It's
I'm praying.
Some people are sharing with you too.
Yeah.
I mean, like you're receiving it from the horse's mouth.
We are.
From the people that are really struggling. What are they sharing with you?
Yeah, the things that they're sharing. First, just broader, and then I'll get very specific. So broadly, what people are struggling with is almost always the gap between the expectation of what marriage is and the reality of their unique, unrepeatable marriage.
Yes.
So there is a cultural expectation that weighs heavily whether you profess Christ or not. What is marriage? What is it going to be like when I'm married? What is my marriage going to be like? And this is whether you're 10 years old or whether you're standing in front of the altar about to profess the vows, right? What is this going to be? And the hard reality is your marriage has never existed before, and there will never be another one like yours. So that's one hand. The other hand is God created marriage. he created as the natural outflow of being made male and female, of how deeply that irreplaceable belonging to another person can be. And it's meant to be an icon, a window, that to belong and to attempt to belong to one another in such a way that literally is love, the willing of the good and receiving the other. It is the capacity to create a third who never existed before. Just to participate in the attempt of marriage is a school to open our hearts up to who God is to us. So we can get big with this. And you guys, this is going back to the TOB thing, right? But keep that with the personal expectation of my marriage, my being a husband, my being a wife, and then the broader culture. And the broader culture's expectations, teaching, support or lack of, all of this plays in sort of this dynamic, global, local, personal, right? So what people are telling us is that when there's a gap between that, what do I do? Some will say, as Melanie said, pray more. Some will say, suck it up, rub some dirt on it. Marriage is hard, get through it. Some people are like, we need to do, say these phrases, and they're very skill based. Some have the openness for mindset. Maybe I need to rethink what my expectations are, but everything's sort of fragmented.
Yeah.
And all of that, we call that the lyrics, right? There's in a song, right? When you're moved by your favorite song, there's the words of the song and there's the melody, including the rhythm. And you could hear two beats. You could hear the first horn section, and you go, "Oh, that's my song," right?
Yeah.
And if you focus on the lyrics of a song or just on the music, you lose the totality of what that is. So depending on your temperaments, depending on your experience, you may lean more toward lyrics. Oh, we need to learn this, this, and this. We need to recite this novena. We need to do this prayer. We need to do this. Or you may be more of a melody person where you're just like, it just doesn't feel right. I just want it to feel the way that is. So joy in our experience seems to cut through all of that because it draws those who are already, emotionally intelligent to sense that I'm just not feeling it. People say that there has to be something more than just the doing. And the same thing with people who've got the great list of the fantastic things to do in marriage. Man, if you don't do those with the right melody, it becomes even harder. So what people are telling, it's listening and listening to the couples and hearing, now that we've learned from you all, temperament, what resonates. It's about a finding of their unique, unrepeatable marriage that honors the authenticity of who the I and the thou are to do that. And if there's anything universal about all that, it's about the hope. It's about giving people the hope that whatever it is you're struggling with, it is a path to wholeness, to happiness, and to joy.
I love that.
So you started to give, I appreciate that you started to give really like a high level approach, kind of an idealistic vision here for marriage. And you talked about how there's a cultural expectation. We have the Catholic expectation, but like down to like, to what people are actually sharing with you. And you said you had 600 people respond with those testimonies in their emails and how they're sleeping in separate beds. How did they understand the problems in their marriage? Like, how would they say?
How did they articulate it?
My marriage is struggling because blank.
Because of them. Because the other person.
9 out of 10 is because my husband, or we're struggling because my wife, right? And then you go down the details of what that is. But
blame.
The woman you put me here.
It's always them. It's always them.
I mean, people are just sharing their, just like we said, their heartaches, their heartbreaks. And I think that they're searching for answers. They incredibly faithful people, and just, I don't know where else to go. And I think that was the message throughout most of the emails that we received. Like, I've tried this, I've tried that, I've talked to this priest, I've talked to this priest, and I've talked to this person, and I don't know where else to go. I don't know how to help my marriage. Help me. What can I do?
And the things you would expect. What's the result after a certain time of lost expectation, disappointment, frustration, and hurt? There's sexual infidelity. There's addiction. There is mental illness.
Yes.
There's health issues derived from the anxiety and the cortisol and the stress. And there's parenting. There's children acting out. There's the facade of the brokenness, the shattering and the collapse of the marriage in the house, and then putting on the facade for the 1 hour at Mass, or being at the altar and being an extraordinary minister at the Eucharist, or running the women's group, and then coming back. And there's only so long you can live in that hypocrisy. So I think if I was sort of summarize, it's everything you would see in every television show you've ever seen, but the shock that it's happening to me because I'm a faithful Catholic.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a paradox that they're living in. So it's like, it's just kind of a layered thing. And then we have on top of that the Catholic guilt,
And the guilt or the anger. Right. So the guilt is a popular one. That's probably 80-20. The other 20 is the anger. Like, this whole thing was BS. We've set ourselves up for failure. The whole thing's hypocritical. Look at the priests are doing what they're doing. My husband's doing this. My wife is doing this. The whole thing is just so. Yes.
Yeah, and then it's also
colors the entire way somebody looks at their faith. Go ahead, Melanie. Yeah.
It just leads them to the question: is, don't I deserve to be happy?
That's it. It's a big one. It's a big one.
Like, am I supposed to be living like this,
or is it just supposed to hurt like this?
Yeah.
Somebody tell me the truth.
Yeah, I'm curious how. Just like, even in your own journey, when did you decide, I want to go become a coach? And like, both of you, like, when, like, did you hit a precipice where you like, we're getting to this point with people, and then like, I don't know what to do beyond that point. Like, I don't know if I'm like filling in the story, but
I think each of us came to it differently.
Yeah. Okay. We always wanted to serve couples, but I think it was after we had sent those emails out and after we had received the responses, and we knew that we needed to meet people's needs in a different way. And we didn't have the skills to do that. I mean, it was very overwhelming, but we didn't have the skills to do it. But, feeling called to be able to serve them. So, I was looking around saying, where can we get training to be effective?
We knew we needed it.
Yeah, we definitely needed it. But where can we get training to be able to serve people's needs? And that's when, I think I have the gifts of, being able to listen to people, to women, and being able to understand what the issues are, to instill hope, to see where there's hope, where nobody thinks that there's hope, and to be able to draw them out, the things that are bothering them, the things that they aren't saying, and to be able to move them along on that path of holiness and that path of resolution.
And this answers some other particular things. So, after decades of speaking, and just in terms of the quick one, when I started speaking in, say, 2002, this wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
It's not the thing like it is now, right? Back in that day, Christopher West had just gotten started. Maybe there was Barry Mapinacci. You got the Scott Hans, and then you've got, but you can name on one hand who was doing this full time. So as I found it, and I was finding the gifting of teaching, of truth, of learning, and it carried with it a response from people needing things for their specific selves. And I found myself I'd say, I talk to your spiritual director, find a mentor, take this to the Lord, because I'm not going to be able to one-on-one, help you unwind, those particular things. And I set that up over decades. But I also noticed that in that time, Melanie, so like, if you remember the old Batman series, maybe it's too old for you guys, but Batgirl used to show up every once in a while in the motorcycle with like the Adam West Batman, and it'd be like, oh my God, Batgirl's going to be on. So she'd come up with like 6 times a year or so in talks, if I do 50 or 60 a year. So we would give this different kind of presentation around marriage, and I would see the way she would receive some of these reactions from people, and completely different than mine. It's like she hates the stage. I love the stage. I get up. This is where I learn. This is where I teach. She's like, what do you want me to do? Like, it's like, I'll do this because I love you, but it's testing my love for you. That kind of, totally different, choleric sanguine with my, my melancholic, phlegmatic. So
yes,
this plays into it because it's as if in these last few decades, she's been running in my lane because that's what the need has been, but she's not flourishing. And when I see where she flourishes, when she sees where flourishes, it's with people. It's one-on-one. It's the depth of the story. And she has a charism. I gotta say, anybody who knows Melanie knows her charism is that when you're near her, you want to just open everything up. There's something about her. In college, grad school, I used to call it the Melanie effect. I'd walk into a party and I'd be like, "What's up? Let's go party," and she might be there. And if she's there, she's in the corner having the deepest conversation with somebody who's like weeping because they can finally. This has been the story of our entire, 40 years knowing each other. So the coaching opened up the possibility and now the reality that she is in her lane. And I very much feel like I am joining her in her lane to add a dimension where she is far more comfortable in that unwinding, that intimacy, that listening and discernment, that helping to, and when she speaks with an authority that is inviting. So the coaching piece, that word coaching came, I'm not sure where it is. We weren't surely convinced of it. And it really wasn't until we were with you all in the training that we realized what we should have done this years ago. This is the answer. Yeah. I kid you not. This is the answer to this dimension of human interaction when it comes to intimate relationships is essential and sufficient. I mean, it is just, it's the way to do it. So that we're standing now thinking like, okay, where does this now fit into this whole funnel of encounter when it comes to transforming marriages? And it will loom large. There's no question about it.
Well, Damon used to always say,
beautiful.
Damon would always say, I'm a Catholic speaker. I'm not a Catholic listener.
That was my joke.
That was his, but you've given us such a structure and such a system to be able to talk to anyone. And you've given us the confidence to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too that Damon, you're a speaker, because I've spoken to a couple people who've gone through our coach training, and they're like, it's changed the way that I talk to groups, even like, because I know now how they're thinking. Like I know that their thoughts lead to their emotions and lead to their actions. And I'm also keeping in mind the temperaments and like how, 40% of people out there are probably going to be melancholic. So I can like speak directly to that. Right. So
I won't be so triggered when they don't jump for joy and match my energy.
Right.
It's like,
unless if it's a group of sanguines, and I know that for some reason. Right. Like, so yeah, I think that's fascinating how it can even build into what you do primarily as well. But I love how it just like allowed Melanie to open up. And I've worked with Melanie like one time, and I can 100% like agree with you on that affirmation. I'm just like, I feel like she's that. And you're supposed to be a coach, like a one-on-one coach, when people just splurge on their entire life. They give you their entire life the first time they meet you.
Yeah. Exactly. That piece that you shared, Damon, about doing all the presentations and having people ask you the questions, and then you just kind of pass them on to the spiritual director. I remember a couple of years ago reaching out to my bishop in Albany and asking him, hey, I'm looking to kind of get on the speaking track a little bit more, because I love being on stage too. And I was like, would you be willing to kind of like give me a little bit of an endorsement or something like that, so I can kind of like for marketing? And he goes, Matt, I'm happy to give you that like endorsement. I think you'd be great. Go out there, do it. But I got to tell you, I don't need another day tripper in my diocese. That's just going to come in and get everybody all fired up and then leave. And then there's nothing for them afterwards. I need people that are going to stay and people that are going to accompany and do like the real relational work. And that's always like sat with me. Yeah. I even get chills just thinking about it. It's just such a wise, honest thing. Deep wisdom that he shared. Yeah.
Deep wisdom.
Yeah. Also, it seems like what you guys are doing. Like now you're kind of building that sustainability model where it's like, Damon, go in and get people excited, but also be like, come reach out to us. Because now
we can go deeper.
You guys are really starting to bring coaching into your offer, correct?
Oh, it's going to be central to the offer, because, it's really about, you talk about like in the Wild West, right? You got it in your tool belt, or you got it in your belt here, and every tool has a particular purpose. But then there's also an overarching goal. What are we doing here, right? We're helping couples to live the impossible, self-propelled reality of holiness in marriage, right? Holiness is a gift. It is being fully human. And each of us needs different things at different times. So what can answer the question of what is marriage? Well, that's a webinar, that's a talk, that's a course. Who am I as a husband? How can I be the best husband that I can be? You can talk in those objective, universal terms and learn a lot. I've seen people transformed with you can reframe, you can deframe and reframe to the truth about marriage. Huge transformation. But then they still have to go home. And to your bishop's point, the day trippers are the ones who are like, man, I heard this podcast. And, did you know that the woman's body is like a tabernacle and that I can, and you're like, yeah, okay. Can you clean the dishes? Can you walk the dog? Right. All right. You were supposed to come 30 minutes ago and, the food's cold. Like what? And you're thinking like, you don't understand. I just had this transformation and you're worried about the beans. Right. So the reality of living that from the universal means that I've got to get into this saint-making work of figuring out who I am, of how I make a more sincere gift, how I can really come to know this unique, unrepeatable person. It's work, but it's not toil, right? It's not, there's no cruise control, but you also should not be walking to California. Right. There are tools, there's technology, there's ways of accomplishing what's really the important thing. It's not that you walk so many miles. It's that you've gotten to a destination, that you've gone to your appointment out of a disappointment. Right.
It's a very particular journey.
Exactly. And that
Very
particular one is crucial to where you're starting from. Where do you think that you are? Where do you think that you're going? And how do you plan on getting there? This is all the questions of coaching. This is all about, the listening of who are you? What is your expectation? What is your frame? How do we help deframe that? What do you think about when that happens? What's your motive? All the thought recon and all of the, the sticky beliefs and all the things that we learn in your training are all about being able to listen well, to edify, to encourage, but also to equip people to live the call that they've had. So we cannot do that from a stage. That cannot be done, in those broader ones, but it can, it's perfect. And that locus of the I thou. So again, that's why with the training, we don't know how do we do this without this? Like, what were we doing? but for such a time as this.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad. I agree with you on that because I didn't discover or create mindset coaching, but I have the same exact thought. I'm like, what was I doing with my life before I knew I could look and capture my thoughts and, bring them before the Lord? Like, what was I doing before that? Like, I feel like I was wasting a lot of time. I don't know. But he's so good to us and he's so generous. And I love to, so you're talking about something that I've heard, Damon, both of you saying kind of like a generalized theme of what you've been saying is speaking on the stage is like teaching, like intellectual formation. And coaching is more of that face-to-face, that human formation, that bringing that intellectual formation and being like, this is what this looks like practically in human life. And like, you are a different person than the person sitting next to you in that talk, so we are going to have to individualize this or customize this approach for you. Is that correct? Am I picking up on that?
Yes,
what you're putting
and I would
down,
say that it's universal. This is universal, right? The smart marketers, whether it's exercise or whether it's diet or whether it's in business coaching, they will lay out all of their proprietary information. This is how we do it. Here's the method, right? Because you know full well that learning the what and even the how at that level is you can access that. You can apprehend that. But the reality is you turn around and you try to apply it to your unique and unrepeatable situation, and you're going to immediately have questions. Well, I tried that, and here's what she said. I tried that, and here's what the bank said. I tried that, and I never lost any weight. And then you ask a question. Well, show me what you've been doing. Let me hear what you've been doing. And then you start to hear things like tone, and you see facial expressions, nonverbals that you don't, because you're not walking around with the mirror. And you're like, when you say that, your eyes squint and you look really angry. No, I'm not angry. I'm just very passionate. Okay, well, your lyrics were spot on, but your melody sounds like, an 80s
Like
hair band.
Metallica.
Exactly. I'm not getting the love here, right? This was a moment you need yacht rock. You don't need hairband guitar. So the coaching means you take the universal, which is still true, and you walk with someone, as you've taught us. You walk with them to help them in a situation that is not replicatable. There is no wife like your wife. There is no husband like your husband, because we're all unique and unrepeatable human persons in the image and likeness of God. When we put two unique, unrepeatable human persons together, you get a unique, unrepeatable marriage. And then you get a whole unique culture of the family with kids.
Yeah, so cool.
That's a really cool concept that you've said a couple of times, unique and unrepeatable marriage. I've never heard it before. And it seems like to me, when I receive that, it's like, oh, wow, that's really refreshing. I want to know how I can discover that unique and unrepeatable marriage. Tell me a little bit. So I know that you guys, you do your workshops, you've done temperament, you integrate some temperaments in. Can you give us a little bit of a snapshot on how you come alongside somebody and what the journey looks like to discovering that unique and unrepeatable marriage?
you guys could just coach us right now.
we even honestly with these decades, we feel like we're just getting started. This feels so new to us.
Yeah.
And I think in my mind, again, and I want over because I know you've got your thoughts as well, but the discovery is dialogic. They're not just discovering; we're discovering with them, right? It's a dialogos. It's a word between, right?
I love that.
And every encounter. Here's the fundamental issue. We can have the answer. Again, you've talked about this in your training as well. But the answer means nothing when it comes out of my mouth. It's getting to the point where they're professed and they're going, well, then I guess I need to. Well, then I think I need to is an order of magnitude more impactful than meeting them in 2 seconds and knowing exactly what they need. This is what usually happens. I mean, you guys have done this longer than us. You meet people and you're like, I know exactly what you need. And we're like 90%, 95% of the time we know exactly. It's like it's not even a gap. We're like, no, but it means nothing. So the way we're discovering that kind of encounter is from the stage, giving dynamic, interesting content, challenging content, but also laying out a horizon and a vision of what marriage can and ought to be, and letting that stir something up in their own heart. Having an epic intimacy program where they start working together in their intimacy and hitting a brick wall with each other. Listening to the witness of other couples and sort of challenging the status quo of what they thought, like, as long as there's no conflict, we hear this a lot, we're doing okay. We're not fantastic, but we're not horrible. Not a lot of conflict. So some of those people need to get sort of waking up like, no, there's joy, like joy.
Yeah.
So the point I think is each of those encounters is meant to awaken something in where they say, well, what else is there? Now it's like, yes. Okay, good. Glad you asked.
And it's even hard to break it into a process because it's so personal.
So customized.
Like there's there's a self-awareness, self-mastery, self-gift kind of arc to everything, but there's a real that relational ministry, like you said, the theologos, the dialogue between the two is something that really unpacks it. Melanie, I know you've been doing a lot of the one-on-one coaching.
Yes.
And I'd love to just hear kind of the impact that you have. Now you've got a bit of a process that we've taught you. How's that changed the way that you walk with somebody before versus now?
Okay, so I usually start off with the temperaments and to find out what temperament they are, because that will tell me a lot. And it's just like you guys say, it's a starting point. It's not trying to put a label on them. It's not trying to put them in a box. It's just trying to, start, where are you and how do you respond to stimuli in your environment, in your marriage? And from there, once they understand it, that just makes things so clear for the women. So I coach the wives and Damon coaches the husbands. And at some point in the future, we'll have them together. But I found that when I'm one-on-one with the wives, they open up, they share in ways that they probably never would if they were together with their spouse. They just have more of a freedom to do that. And I always start off with, okay, well, what's your goal? What do you want? And sometimes it's a broad goal of, I want more intimacy in my marriage. And I'm like, okay, that's great. How are we going to get there? What's what's standing in the way, what's causing the problems right now. And then we'll go from there. And sometimes, it's a husband who's very choleric and very like raw, and the wife doesn't know how to respond, and she feels like she has to take in all of his emotions and all of the children's emotions, and so we work through things like that. So every wife has a different issue, and sometimes it's not even directly related to the marriage. It could be something else that's happening in their life, another relationship, and we'll work on that, and then we'll get to a marriage, a marriage issue. So it's be able to be open to whatever the client is bringing to me, and to be able to say, okay, we're going to start with temperaments just so you can understand how you respond. I can understand how you respond, and you can understand your husband, and then we can go from there. And it's just nice. It's so great to be able to, like I said before, having a structure and having a system. So if I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know where to go, and I'm praying like, okay, Lord, show me which way. And he always does. And it's always like just so what that person needs, what that client needs. So I am grateful to be able to have that, to be able to walk with that wife and her particular situation.
Talking about the melding of the skills too. So just you're very adept.
Right. So it's not only just the mindset work, but it's also practical skills, because a lot of times, right away, the wives will say, well, how do I respond when he says this or he says that, or and they want it right away. How do I respond? So I mix the, I have practical skills and
Awesome.
with the mindset work. So, and I'll say, okay, well, we can go practical or we can go mindset on this. Which way do you want to go? And if they say practical, okay, great. And then I'll say, okay, well, you have this thought here. Do you want to, go through the cycle with that? And they'll say, yeah, I should do that. So I just let them know when we're doing practical, when we're doing, and that is so appreciated by them, so that they know where they are. It's a great mix to be able to do the mindset work and the practical work.
I love that. Well, because there are like legit skills, like even just communication skills. Like, don't say this. He's choleric, or whatever.
Yeah.
Do say this.
We've spoken about this before, like, and Damon, you even shared like the impact that listening to the podcast, listen to the presentations, of just getting a picture of excellence, a new picture, a new frame, a new expectation for marriage, a new vision for marriage, right? My people perish for lack of vision, for lack of knowledge here. That can be very healing in and of itself. But it doesn't necessarily help you to navigate your unique way with your unique struggles and your unique gifts and weaknesses on how you actually achieve that ideal. Now, the ideal is something that we can give as a universal expectation, but how you get there and how it actually expresses itself, living the joyful marriage is going to look different than Erin and I and any of the other couples that you're coaching. Like, how do we create that vision, but then how do we also walk with them as they're moving towards that vision here as well? So I can see the both and, like that great,
100%.
The communication, the achiever side, the choleric, sanguine side.
It reminds me of us, actually.
You remind us so much of us.
No, because you love being on stage, and I'm like, nope, I do not like to be on stage.
And I love
being
very abstract. And Erin's is like, let's land the plane. Let's make it practical. They got to know how.
So there's a great, there's a lot of ways to cut across this, but to get at what you're getting at, if you read any of the real modern neurobiology about left brain, right brain has not been dismissed. It's only been clarified, right? And you look at the right brain and its need for ideals and idealization. And that is sort of the North Star. Why are we doing this? What's the thing that's just out of our fingertips that we'll never actually get, but it keeps us oriented so we don't get disoriented, right? So the right brain ideal is, and that has to be, if there's a lack there, it needs to be strengthened and nurtured and even tips, skills to keep it forefront. The left brain loves outcomes, and we love the sort of the tactics of how we get to this. And there's all kinds of, deprivation when the left brain ignores or works without a right brain, when you're just outcome based. Just tell me the 7 ways to make my marriage great. Just give me the tips. Just tell me what to do. Tell me exactly what to tell my wife, right? And you lose that idealization. But you can also get so wrapped up in ideals that you don't know how to do something. And you can get just as frustrated, just as depressed. So I think with the coaching, we're finding that the listening allows you to see what is weighing heavier on you in the moment, because you need both. But the one that matters the most is the one that matters the most.
Yes. Yeah.
So what's mattering to you? So I've heard Melanie give, some of the skills she gives, and the way the women come back the next week or whatever, it's like, it worked, right? But now they're open to, like, my husband said this again and it hurts so bad. And I did just what you said. And I said, ouch. And he stopped and he's like, because I would yell back at him, or I would do this. And all I said was, ouch. And he totally, so those kind of very concrete left brain outcome things.
Yep.
Then they come back and they're like, okay, but it still really hurts. So it reminded me of my dad, and it reminded me of this, and all I could hear was this. And all right, so let's talk mindset. Let's talk about the thoughts behind the thoughts, the feelings, the action, so it opens up one or the other, but you can't have one without the other.
Yeah. Beautiful. That's so cool. I'm curious how this has impacted your guys' marriage personally.
Yeah.
Just going through the program,
Together.
the mindset work, the temperaments
Yeah, we're not prepared
work.
to talk about that right now.
Hold the fist. It's right on brand. I mean, actually, it's like off brand. So you guys, let's be intimate. You guys can share it with us. How has it affected your marriage?
Yeah, I wish we had this from the very beginning, but anyway, here we are. It has just propelled us in ways I think we're still discovering, and to be able to first understand myself, understand my own temperament, understand what my motivations are, understand what my strengths are, my weaknesses, what my needs are, and then to be able to share those with Damon, and then to be able to understand his temperament, his needs, his desires, his motivations, his weaknesses, and then to be able to set our relationship up so that he succeeds in a way that's personal to him. And that has been really, really fantastic, to be able to understand myself first, and then to be able to understand him, and then to cheer him on in whatever he's doing.
And I can hear her differently. I mean, I literally hear sometimes even the exact same words have a different meaning. That whole work we did, or you offered us with the temperaments, but finding triggers, ideal conditions, that continues to bear great fruit in our marriage. Cheering on, either I have something, work related, or something is our marriage related, and we now have a framework. We've got a vocabulary. We've got something that both of us have agreed to, that we trust is trustworthy, and asking questions that we could have never asked before, and doing it in a disinterested way. So everything's not laden with emotion. It's not laden with history. It's not laden with you always, you never. I know what you really mean by that. I used to joke. I still use the joke and talk and say, when you first get married, you argue because you don't understand each other. I said, when you get married for a while, you argue because you do understand each other. Right? So, but
lots of stories.
But it turns out you argue because you think you understand each other. It turns out you don't still.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the ability to not just share for sharing's sake, but to do it with skill, to do it with attentive to, your emotional capacity and your, even your vocabulary, your emotional vocabulary. I've seen such a peace in Melanie in this last year through this training that I have craved for her, and it's still growing. We're still in the middle of the story, still getting written, but there's a piece here that even when we have these conflicts now, even when, we still hurt each other, we're still human, but it's hitting differently. Like the hurt is hitting differently. The reconciliation is hitting differently. When she kind of says, I trust your judgment, you're going to work that out. That's not her dismissing me. That's her that's received as an encouragement. Like you'll be fine. If I can help, let me know. But
this is your work to do.
This is your work. This is your work to do.
Yeah, it's the whole locus of control.
Locus of control.
Amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Right.
You can have that.
Especially.
Yes, you're allowed to be angry.
Right.
That's right.
Exactly. That's not mine. But Melanie, I know that I totally, because being high empathy, right?
Yes.
You want to take on everybody's stuff. And just to be able to say that's not mine to own. Like, I love you and I am here and I'm here to support you, but that is not mine to own.
Yeah.
And I'll pray for you over here and I'll do my own work on this because I know I'm going to want to come back and try to pick that up again, you know?
Yeah, it's so freeing. There's so much freedom there. It's just been so great for me.
Yeah, if you didn't have that skill, I mean, just imagine what it would be like entering to these deep emotional conversations with people.
Yeah.
And just it can be you can just be stuck with it. There's almost a soul tie that you can create with some of your clients, and but knowing the boundaries actually allows you to sustain that coaching relationship and the accompaniment relationship.
Yeah, I'll tell you too, you guys have helped us to transform that whole understanding of boundaries, right? Boundaries have been around for a long time, but like any tool, if you use it the wrong way, it can actually cause more harm than good, right? So if you have boundaries without that, locus of control, staying in the lane, doing all without that, boundaries are offensive, not defensive. You could set up a boundary just to keep people, you set up these boundaries and I hear people still teaching that even from authorities and podcasts. Like, we just need to set a boundary so that they don't come in and they don't do, but recognizing the boundary as being a place of encouragement, it's almost like a platform. It's being able to know how far I can go, not how far you're allowed to come to me. Right. So there's a transfer, even with commonly understood, helpful tools and language like boundaries. How you implement them still speaks to a bigger ethos of, am I keeping myself from you or am I trying to deepen our bonds?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Boundaries created in love versus boundaries created in fear.
Yes.
Very different. Very different.
Yeah.
Boundaries that are creating freedom
Ultimatums.
to do something versus like restrictive, that you're saying you can't do something. I mean, it's actually something for, especially if somebody's high empathy, high harmony, right?
Yeah.
They want to keep people together. It really helps you to get on the same page here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we kind of like wrap up here, you've been talking a lot about rolling out this new coaching initiative. I've been to your website. I know it's not there. Maybe by the time this hits, it's going to be showing up there. But where, like, I know there's people that are listening. They're just like, okay, like, this is the type of accompaniment that I want.
Yes.
I don't want to go back to the counselor. We've already done that. I don't want to go back to, the priest and everything. We've already done that. Like, I want to bring people like Melanie and Damon into my accompaniment ecosystem here to bolster up my marriage. What are we going to see coming down the pike on your website? How are they going to be able to join and get involved with what you're doing?
Yeah. So two real important things. One, this will be central to Joyful Ever After.
Yes.
Okay.
Not just the bottom of the funnel. It's not just, the high offer, not just, where things lead to. We really are looking to invert the funnel. And when I talk about the funnel, I'm talking about the big, broad thing like the Marriage Summit, 39,000 people, or Epic Intimacy, 22,000 people downloading, a program. Those things in many ways, and I praise God for these people and for the demand. This is not, God ordered it this way, but in many ways right now it's a distraction, because the work that we want to do is in this one-to-one or one to several, to work things out at a particular level. There'll always be a need for teaching. There'll always be a need for framing, deframing, reframing at a broader level. But we're trying to figure out or have the courage to really pivot a community of about 60,000 people to something that is not exactly scalable in an easy way. So we learned from our mailer that we sent out to all 60,000 people that it's probably smart to segment and to start pivoting, as we've been doing in the last couple of months, to serve real people without the pressure of being overscheduled, overburdened. So we want to bring back the Marriage Summit as a resource, the Epic Intimacy as a resource, and then we're building cohorts in the hundreds, 500 here, 500 there, of people who are ready for one-on-one coaching. Plus, we're still learning. So as we're learning, what this looks like, we want to be able to offer more broadly. I'm known for throwing things out there before they actually happen, but we've met a lot of really good people during our training, and this is one cohort out of the many as you guys are rightfully exploding and growing. We also have a vision of bringing in Metanoia Catholic coaches under the Joyful Ever After Marriage initiative to, when we start talking about scalability, you only really have two choices: either get more coaches or you start going in a group. So we do feel a responsibility and obligation to a very large community, but that rolling up is going to have to be very intentional and very methodical. At least in my mind, the Lord might open the floodgates up, because that's my plan. But we've met a lot of very competent, very experienced, and now very well trained people in our training, and it's it seems perfectly right to us to invite people to share in a huge community of people who likely want marriage coaching, and we are, we're deep and abiding students of the Metanoia Catholic method. So, that's without making any promises. That's the other part of the scalability.
I was going to say, do you hear that, Metanoia coaches? Do you hear that?
But this is a realize the vision moment for me, because in the beginning, when Erin and I kind of went down this path, it was the realization of we can't coach them all, but we can form the coaches, right? And that was never the plan, but that's where the Lord has led us, and the fruits are just, the fruits are what they are. They've been very blessed with it. And so, I mean, there could be people that certainly have been trained that you want to bring in to the program that are already certified coaches. There may be people that have the ethic, they have the vision for marriage, they've got the TOB background, that you just want to be like, hey, you know what? Go through that metanoia training, and then once you get through it, like, you're going to be set to go. And just, I remember when the movie Miracle on Ice came out, and they said, what's going to be easier, to train actors to be hockey players or train hockey players to be actors? And they ended up going with training hockey players to be actors, right? And so that marriage skill, like the people that are already living that joyful marriage, are already witnessing it. Training those people just how to be coaches is probably the easier way than having the coach, kind of learn the ethic. And so if you're out there.
Well, also the interesting thing is, so at the end of every year, every training, we always have like a little graduation, and people were sharing how their own marriages were transformed. Just one person going through the coach training.
Just what you guys
shared. You guys have two people, which is very cool, but it's kind of, it follows through with that saying that, like, you need one person to change the entire relationship. You need one person to change the dynamic of the entire relationship. And it's even better when both people go through it. But I just think that's fascinating too. So yes, you have plenty of coaches to choose from. I love this, as you guys are moving forward and bringing the coaching into it, because that is it. Exactly what you guys said. It's like, that is where the rubber meets the road. That's where the change happens.
Yes.
You can inspire with talks and teaching and give information, but like Damon said, like, who's going to do the dishes, right? Like, you got to go back to life, and like, how do you apply that to the life? And that's where a coach comes in. One more question before we close out, because I do think people are going to be asking this question. This question came in my mind. What is the difference between marriage coaching and marriage counseling?
Yes. Oh, this is a growing, but a clarity that we're having now of what that is, right? When we first started with you guys gave a great sort of delineation between mentoring, coaching, counseling, spiritual direction, all hugely important areas. But the locus, sort of the center of mass of each of those, is distinct. And it turns out that they complement one to the other. When we think about coaching, we love that imagery of standing alongside, of edifying and maintaining that you are the expert in your marriage. Your unique, unrepeatable marriage means that this is your calling, your vocation. You'll figure this out. I'm not coming in, as I typically am, as the expert telling you how to have your marriage. There's times for that. That's a trainer, right? That would be me being a trainer in a particular area, or a teacher. But the counseling is different in the sense that a counselor is in a very strange format of 45 minutes or an hour at a time, focusing on the hurts, the wounds, the brokenness, the things that you want to get rid of, as if you spend the time on the negative. He did this. He always does this. We had an affair. We name the mega real wound. And the focus is on navigating the wound well enough where it no longer becomes debilitating to the marriage. And some counseling, positive psychology, they'll go into want to know the deeper roots of it. They want to know the family of origin or particularly. So there's methods of doing it. Some are just more skill based, like how do you get over this so it becomes, the attenuation becomes low enough that it doesn't keep you from doing what you're doing. But that focus on the brokenness or on the wound or on the evil that has happened is a particular approach to wholeness and to functionality, right? Coaching is far more of a peer-based, but wingman, you are the expert. I am not here telling you what to do, but I can reflect with you and I can share some particular global knowledge, but I can listen to you and kind of mirror back to you things you probably have never heard yourself say, do, or look. So between the thought recon and the skill-based, coaching is a unique relationship that needs its respect for language, encounter, and approach.
Yeah, we have tremendous respect for our clients, and that, God is doing a great work in them. And when they come to us, we are not the experts. We're here to uncover what God is already doing in their marriage. And we will listen. And like Damon said, we will say, oh, you say this a lot. Have you come across this before? Or what do you think that means? Or we'll ask questions. We're praying the entire time that the Holy Spirit guide us in our sessions, but we have tremendous respect for our clients, and we know we recognize and acknowledge that God is doing a work in them and in their marriage, and we want to support that.
Beautiful.
I'm sorry, there's one thing I know we're going to. One quick thing is that the other, instead of focusing on the evil and the brokenness, coaching, we're always focusing on the outcome, the ideal, and the result. Yeah. So constantly putting back to what is it that you want. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I really want to be close to my. Do you think that's going to get you that? Probably not.
Right.
Okay. Well, then, that will. So that constant sort of moving toward the ideal, the outcome, the result is a huge posture difference with coaching.
And we're not against counseling at all. I think counseling has its place. If there's severe trauma or there's healing needs to be done, that therapists are definitely very useful for that.
Yeah, it's a whole accompaniment ecosystem, right? The person is, my friend Pat Molyneux from Human Formation Coalition, he's always saying that the human person is infinitely complex. Yeah. But what that means is that there's no one practitioner that has all of the answers, that has all of the methods, because you need a lifetime dedicated to being a good coach, being a good counselor, being a good spiritual director. And so God has set it up so that there really is an accompaniment ecosystem that's there. And we see coaching as, for all the reasons why you just said, being a great fit into that. Yes. Awesome. So with you guys here and with how you guys are evolving, just how do people get a hold of you? Right now on your website doesn't necessarily seem to be a place that's for them to sign up. But in the meantime, how could somebody listening to this today just get on your wait list at least?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, that won't be on the website for a while because of the size of the community. We're going to be very strategic about the coaching aspect, but you can go to joyfuleverafter.org to see the Epic Intimacy, Catholic Marriage Summit, the witness-based and the skill-based work there, and our contact information. Right. But I do recommend just going to, at this point, DamonOwens.com. DamonOwens.com. What you land there, it'll give you our direct contact information. It'll show you the work we're doing with Joyful Ever After, some of the more speaking and teaching work with Joy to Be, as well as an ability to inquire about your interest in being coached or coaching in general. But so DamonOwens.com is probably the best ways to get a look at all the different things that we're working on.
Very cool.
Great.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, and we'll put that in the show notes too, so that people can find it. But thank you so much, both of you. This is such incredible work. I'm so happy. I kind of geek out when I hear like a variety of different niches amongst my coaches, because I'm like, okay, like the Lord, we need to be operating in all areas right now. And I just love that you guys are a couple doing couple coaching, and actually helping people, grow and refine that domestic church that we have been given to steward if you're a married couple. And it's so needed today. So thank you for your time.
You took the words out of our mouths. We want to thank you all. We have built business. We have built ministry. We know the challenges. And when we watch what you all have done and continue to do, just know that we are covering you in our prayer.
Yes.
We are encouraging you. Your
Thank
growth. The vision that God has given you, the drive to fulfill that vision, that is so divinely clear. And any one of those is a different skill. You can get the vision, you can have the drive, but to have all those things and to produce the way that you guys are continuing to produce, just thank you.
Yes,
thank you.
We're so
for
grateful. Yes.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you.
And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning.
The best compliment I think I've ever received.
I know. I was like, whoa, oh my gosh, thank you.
Yeah, it's coming from you guys too. That's
yeah,
amazing.
that means a lot.
Thank you. So just kind of wrap up. If you're somebody that's listening here and being like, you know what, I feel called to do this type of work with my spouse. All right, and you want to go that coach approach, right, that we teach at Metanoia Catholic, we do offer discounts when married couples sign up at the same time and they go through those same cohorts together. So if you're curious about that, just go ahead and reach out to or go to our website, right? metanoiacatholic.com, catholiccoaching.com. And you can reach out right on our certification page for building a payment plan together, talk with Abby on our team. And
who knows,
and just
maybe
kind of work through what
you
that
can
would look
go
like
work
for,
Joyful Ever After.
Yeah.
Joyful, right? Joyful Ever After.
I didn't say it. Nick said it.
Yes.
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 Good. All right, folks. Thanks so much. God bless.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Hey, thanks for sticking with us in the Catholic Coaching Podcast. If you like what you heard,
Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you again.